You know it's crap. That's why I don't like it. Your taste is up your ass, folks. Does anybody here have a fucking brain, huh? I take it back. You don't need a brain. What you need are some fucking cojones. You know, lima beans for God's sakes. What the fuck are you staring at?
Me, sir?
Me, sir. Yes, you dickhead. Something here interests you?
Not particularly.
Well, then what the fuck are you staring at?
Nothing, sir. Nothing.
Get back here! I'm talking to you, Jack! Jesus Christ, you people are all assholes. You know what? You're dicks. I can't even find a fucking messenger boy around here who knows what end is up. Hey, come back here. I'm not done with you yet, asshole.
Coming, sir.
9.95.
I guess we're ready.
We're live.
Well, let's jive. Buddy Shotz 114.
Uh-oh.
Oh, well, thank you. For like, Windows requires an update. I'm like, please don't do that while we're recording the episode. Please,
No, damn you, Bill Gates.
I just love Windows updates. This is Buddy/Nobody week.
Yeah?
But better known as Matt week.
Bruiser has a buddy to no one.
Yeah. And Chappelle is a buddy to
The world.
not Jim Breuer, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, you picked like two things that don't. I guess you
Random.
said didn't have things in common, but I can usually find something in common. But I guess this isn't really common, where it's like one show is about buddies and the other one is about a man that has no buddies.
Yeah.
So it's like it is buddies, but
Genius.
one with, one without. The internal struggle.
Hold the buddies, please.
Yeah. Buddies, the show that Dave Chappelle doesn't want you to see. It's like, what? Like, he's like, don't watch this.
So I guess Buddies, to frame it up, is a failed show from ABC in the 90s. That was kind of a backdoor spin-off of Home Improvement.
Yeah.
Because in Home Improvement, the characters were watching TV in one episode, and the show they were watching was Dave Chappelle and Jim Breuer.
Well, they were on the show.
Oh, they were?
Yeah, they were
I didn't
on
realize
an episode of Home Improvement where they like complain
Nice.
about their girlfriends, and then like they get in trouble for it, so they go back to like Tim to be like, please, like, let us apologize to our wives on Home Improvement or whatever. So like, but then when the show went to actually being filmed, Jim Breuer wasn't in the show. It was another guy that played the character, but it was the same character.
Chris Gartin.
So it had like no chance of succeeding.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
What'd you think of Buddies? Or first of all, which episode did you watch?
I think I watched the same one you did. I forget what
The one about his dad's birthday?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, because I was like...
Episode 3.
Yeah. But like...
His dad, played by Richard Roundtree, Shaft himself.
Yeah, I think he was pretty much like the best part of this show.
Yeah, I thought Dave Chappelle was funny too.
Yes, yeah.
I think it's clear that like he's going to be a good comedian.
One day.
Yeah.
When he takes over a round table and talks about Chris Farley or whatever the hell that was.
Norm Macdonald.
Yeah, Norm Macdonald. One of the sadly dead comedians.
But like for those who may not remember or don't know, like at one point in the early 2000s, Dave Chappelle was like the hugest comedian in the world.
Yeah, he was like, they were trying to give him millions of dollars to fucking make another Chappelle show. And he was like, nope.
But I mean, this episode or this show is definitely like dated. You can tell it's 90s style, but
it's also like very like racially motivated.
Yes.
It was kind of like, which there's nothing wrong with like having a show that has like racial stuff in it, but it was really weird and kind of didn't make any sense if like the white guy and the black dude are supposed to be lifelong friends, and like in this episode, it's the episode they use to like show like not stereotypes, but to show like, you know, Dave
discrimination.
Chappelle, discrimination. When if say I was like, you know, black and you were white, like you would have seen that our entire lives together. You wouldn't have just been like, let's go buy something, and then like you would have just seen it then. You know, he was like, the Jim Breuer character was shocked that like, even though I keep saying Jim Breuer character, but he's not in this. It's
should have been Chris Gartin.
Yeah, which there was like no chemistry between those dudes. No. It was like, you could tell like, I don't know. It's one of those things where it would be like, it's so weird that like, you know, they decided to not have Jim Breuer, but they recast some dude that like nobody knew who the fuck he was.
Yeah.
It's like, what? I think he's gone on to do like other stuff since then, but it's one of those things where it's just weird that they thought the premise was a good idea of bringing like two dudes that were like, you know, like the whole thing was that like, hey, they were standout, they were standout characters in Home Improvement, and everybody loved them and thought they were funny, I guess, for that episode. I'm assuming that's why this happened, is because it tested well.
Yeah. But
then like when it comes to like actual like prime time, they decided to like switch it out with somebody else, which I don't really understand the reasoning for that.
Chris Gartin was in Tremors 2 Aftershocks, playing Grady Hoover.
Black Swan, True Blood.
True Blood, your favorite.
Yeah. Cast changes after subsequent rehearsals. Jim Breuer was replaced. Like, so did he get like so high he forgot all his lines?
It's possible.
Yeah.
Or he's just like a goofball, oddball character in real life, I think. So.
To me, it's I guess that's pretty much like the whole story of this show. Is it like it was doomed before it even got off the ground? Even if it was like the episode was okay, like it wasn't like horrible or anything. It was just like.
Yeah, I'm glad we watched it because it was cool to see like Dave Chappelle before he blew up.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah, like you said, Richard Roundtree was great in this. Like, basically acting his ass off. Yeah, and it was great.
He was wasted on this show, sadly.
Yeah.
Like he was wasted. Yeah, my notes are essentially what we've already talked about. Where like the only serviceable of the two main people are like Dave Chappelle. And then Richard Roundtree as like John Shaft, like is great in this show.
It was actually kind of a touching scene at the end when they like, spend time together on his birthday. I was like, dude, nice.
Yeah, like last little bit with Dave and his dad was actually pretty great. If the show was just this, it probably would have done well. It was kind of like a, I don't know. I don't want to say like Sanford and Son kind of thing, but it was like it was nice to see like a dad and son relationship portrayed this well.
Yeah, it wasn't like this straight up cartoon.
Yeah, it wasn't like played for like, oh, he ran off or something. It was like he's actually like a dad.
Yeah,
it's like wow, you know, like. Mm-hmm. And then replacing Jim Breuer made zero sense. We're in the dynamic. The stealing scene where they're like the white dude. I don't even know like that like. Replaced Jim Breuer is going around stealing everything while like security guy is just watching Dave Chappelle, and it was like
it was pretty stupid.
I was like, oh my god, dude, holy crap, this is so like heavy-handed.
Yeah,
and it was like play for laughs too. I was like, Jesus.
The studio audience was laughing.
They thought it was hilarious.
I'm like,
yeah, I was like, it's like, you know, this is supposed to be a serious topic, right? It was kind of like a little bit funny when at the end the guy was like, my friend here was like not going to steal anything, but I was going to steal all this shit. And they're like, okay, come with me. And then the guy's like, I'm not going to sell anything to like who's got a friend that's a thief. And he's like, he like fucked him over. It was like, dude, which would have been like way better if Jim Breuer was there because he would have actually been funny.
Yeah.
Unlike the dude that was in the show that was, I'm sure he's fine, but it's like, you could tell that like comedy wasn't really his forte. He was just reading the lines and the lines were like, ugh. Whereas like Dave Chappelle, when he was reading what they gave him, was actually like made it funny.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Like
you think Jim Breuer should have played Goat Boy on the show? It would have made sense.
Yeah. Goat Boy. Another time.
I love Goat Boy.
Goat Boy.
I love you, Goat Boy.
Probably like the stupidest character ever on SNL, but like 2 people remember him.
Made me laugh every
Probably
time.
3, me, you, and my dad.
Your dad like Goat Boy?
Yeah, he talks about it. I'm like,
so funny.
I think that's one of the reasons why like they decided to not, because they were thinking maybe that like Jim Breuer would like try to upstage like Dave Chappelle, but to me like I don't know if they understand that like if they were both on the show together, they would probably be like, hey, we need to, you know, because they have comedy stylings, they would be able to work together, because then years later they made Half Baked, and that movie was fucking like a classic, you know, a cult classic, I guess I should say.
Legendary.
Everybody would watch it and stuff. It's kind of like when they came out with Beer Fest or whatever. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, this is funny. Everybody's still waiting on Weed Fest.
Yeah.
Or are they? Yeah, I don't know.
So that's Buddies.
Yeah.
It's time to get into the main event.
Yeah, it is. So
Bruiser
2000, because apparently they came out with a movie recently called Bruiser that was in 2022.
Oh.
Because when I looked at Bruiser, it came up with the 2022 version first, and then I had to be like, where the hell
Wait, you watched the 2000 version?
Yeah. Even though you probably didn't even know there was a 2022
I do remember
version.
seeing that on IMDb.
Did you?
And,
Okay.
like, scrolling past it.
Yeah. I actually don't go onto IMDb until I, like, need to look for a movie. But, like, when you look up Bruiser, like, on Google, the first thing that comes up is the 2022 version. And then below it is, like, Bruiser 2000. So it's like, unless you know, you're like,
It should have been called Bruiser 2000. Title.
It would have actually, like, fit more with the... Yeah.
So this is a reevaluation week.
Yeah,
because
so-
we watched
yeah.
Bruiser in 2000 and hated it.
Yeah. So...
But that was a long time ago.
French horror thriller film written and directed. And the reason why we even watched this was George
It's not
Romero.
French.
French horror thriller. It was filmed there.
It was filmed in Canada.
Well, it says French. That's what it said online. So I guess it says it was filmed in Toronto, but I don't know why it says
Maybe
French.
it was financed by a French company. I don't know.
That's what I would think. There's probably a lot of people that were... Yeah, I don't know, honestly, because nobody speaks French in this. Maybe they're thinking, like, because Peter Stormare is in it. But I don't even know if you consider him French. Yeah.
He does like his Cinco boy.
Yeah. He's a dirty Frenchman. After years of being tread upon and cheated on, a man awakens to find his face has been replaced by a blank white mask. So, like, the only reason why back in the day we even, like, gave this a look was because we're, like, huge fans of George Romero's films.
It was the latest Romero movie.
Yeah.
I gotta check it out.
And we were like, oh. Because at the time we were, like, kind of confused as to what the fuck.
Yeah.
this
And I think
was.
also then I was like, this isn't as good as Night of the Living Dead. It's horrible.
Yeah.
So I have good news and bad news. I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
I didn't love it either.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of...
It's a fine little
very
movie.
cheap.
Yeah.
Like,
it is.
watching it, I'm like, how the fuck does George Romero make this movie? It just felt like... I don't know. It felt like it was like one of those movies that was like a straight-to-DVD kind of like...
That's what it was.
Yeah, it just felt
It
very...
was not
like,
theatrically released.
I don't know. Which is weird because, like, all of his other films, like, even though... Some of them barely were, like Land of the Dead, like, that came out in theaters, but I feel like that was, like, you know, like, his last hurrah. But
That was his biggest budget he ever had.
And then they were just, like, Diary and all these other ones. It was, like, straight to DVD and stuff, but, it, you know.
I think it's just a very small-scale movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's
also got, like, a very different feel from a lot of his other films. Like, it's I would not be able to tell you, like, George Romero made this movie if I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like a horror movie / quirky black comedy.
Yeah, kind
it's
of
just-
like
It
they've
has
got a lot of art house stuff in it.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is
It
weird.
has a weird tone. But I'm glad we watched it again. I think it's a fine movie.
Like that time you were like, "Oh man, I'm feeling like shit, but I'm glad we ate the cereal." I was like, "What?"
It tasted horrible, but I'm glad we ate it.
It's like those two things don't go together. Speaking of, like, at the beginning of this movie, they like go in with like the noir like cigarette smoke in the air, like sax music, while showing Bruiser, like not the character Bruiser, but like the
dude,
what's it called, the title where it like comes in, it's like guy on radio, I want to kill myself. Right off the bat, radio DJ makes fun of him. I'm like, psycho, and then he like kills himself on air.
Blam.
And then we've got our first red flag here. Psycho puts toothpaste on just the tip of his toothbrush. I was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, oh.
That was the most horrific.
I was like, stop it. You're frightening me. I was kind of put off right off the bat by like the straight razor shaving scene. Anytime I see somebody like shaving their neck in a movie, I'm like, ugh. That's why I will not watch Sweeney Todd.
You took the stand.
I did. Stephen King is pissed.
So I think this movie is really... It could have been done better with a different lead, a better lead actor.
Yeah.
Like Jason Fleming plays the lead. He's in most scenes.
I don't really know if I've ever like heard of this guy, but that's not necessarily like a knock because like there's plenty of movies I've seen where like I didn't know who the person was before and they like steal the show.
I'm not criticizing him.
Yeah.
I think he doesn't bring a whole lot to it. It's kind of a generic.
Yeah, I think like it doesn't help when he becomes like the faceless guy. He's like completely fine as that guy, but that's like the only time when he really like kind of comes out of his shell. But even then, he doesn't because like he's faceless, so he has like no emotion. So it's like,
I think you like have affected my brain because when I was watching this, I was thinking, what if Thomas Ian Griffith was Bruiser, dude?
Yeah.
That'd be 9.95. Yeah. George Romero, remake Bruiser with Thomas Ian Griffith. I'm calling you out.
Yeah, get the fuck out of your grave, crazy fucker. Rest in peace, George Romero. Sadly, he passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah, but...
I don't want to slam Jason Fleming. He was fine. I wish it would have been someone else. Could have been better.
I don't want to slam him, but, you know, he
but get him out of this movie.
Guy hates dog. Dog hates guy. They got a little piss-ass poodle with some lima beans.
Best note ever.
Yeah. Nice showroom home.
Did you catch the dog's name?
What was it?
Pupsy.
Nice. Why did I say nice before I heard it? And then I heard it, and I was like, that's fucking shit. This is pure shit.
So I watched the commentary from this
Nice.
with George Romero, and I learned a lot about the movie. He wrote and directed this, and he had 100% creative freedom.
Yeah.
So this is like the purest vision of George Romero that you'll ever see.
For a thriller film.
Yeah. But I was thinking about it, and the idea of this movie is like pretty messed up.
Yeah.
Because basically it's about a guy who he's like meek and has no personality.
Yeah.
He's basically a blank and gets stepped, like everyone pushes him around. But he gains a personality by acting on his dark fantasies.
I mean, they did it better in Falling Down. That movie where like the dude is fucked over and then he finally just breaks and shit.
But by the end, he's like the hero of the movie because he's killed a bunch of people. Like
it's just revenge. Yeah, this one it's like the guy.
It's an interesting
like,
idea.
Supposed to be like a hero. He's like revenge or whatever. But like, it's also like weird because like, obviously like someone losing their face and then like just having a mask on their face, but then like it going away. It's kind of one of those things where you're like, was that really happening?
Yeah.
Or like at the very end, was it all like, was there like supernatural stuff involved? So
that's the stuff I like most about this movie. It was like it had some ideas behind it. It wasn't just a generic slasher.
Yeah.
But to go back to the commentary, like George Romero was very satisfied. Like he was loving it,
film.
And he even admitted, like, I know I'm loving my own stuff, folks, but I can't help it. I just love this movie. I'm so happy with how it turned out. I was like, good for you, George.
Yeah. You're wrong, but...
Oh, Jesus!
You fucked up, but... if I could fuck a car, I'd never leave my garage.
Great.
Another line.
Great line. Did you notice that at the beginning, someone was eating Life cereal? And I was like, Mikey, he likes it.
Never had that before.
But you're Mikey.
I know. We never bought Mike's cereal or Life cereal.
It's gross.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah.
What does it taste? What is it taste like?
It tastes like dirt flavored like cinnamon. It's very like bland, but it's gross. So try it. Life cereal. Mikey likes it.
Listen, can you just slow down? Show's car going 80 to 90, but on the road it's going like 40. People cut in front of him on train, and he has a fantasy of punching out a woman and throwing her head on the tracks, and it gets crushed. So this is the first of a couple like high fidelity style like sequences where he like has like a, you know, what's it called? Like I guess a fantasy.
Yeah, like
a dark fantasy.
They should have called this movie Dark Fantasy.
That actually would be a pretty good title for this movie.
I like Bruiser 2000.
Bruiser makes like no fucking sense.
But that was my favorite part of the commentary is the scene where he puts the lady's head under the tracks. George Romero was like
cracking up. Yeah, like I thought it was funny too.
It was fucking great.
I think when we watched this at first, we were probably like, what the fuck is going on? Because, like, we were expecting, I think, like a straightforward movie, because that's usually like the movies we'd seen before, like Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. Like, these movies just kind of like, from beginning to end, like, there's really no like what
like
really
3 of the best horror
happened,
movies
kinda,
ever made.
Right? There's really no like what happened kind of thing. I mean, obviously at the ending you can kind of figure, oh, what happened, this kind of thing. But I mean, during the film, there's no like fantasy sequences or like, you know, what could have happened kind of thing. I think at the time we were like, what the fuck is this bullshit? Peter Stormare enters Bruisers. So we're clapping.
So give me your thoughts on Peter Stormare in this movie.
I mean, he's just a fucking prick, but like, you know, I think like literally he's the only person in this movie that like is worth watching for the most part. Like, I'm not trying to shit on the other actors, but like he went like cojones to the wall.
Literally.
Yeah, he went like out of control here, and it was great because like he came off as like the boss that everybody hates, but they have to kiss his ass, and that's what he needed to be and stuff, whereas like almost everybody else was just kind of there orbiting around him.
Yeah, I agree. I think no other actor had a chance in this movie. Like, Peter Stormare blows everyone away. Like, this is one of the most lunatic performances I've ever seen in a movie. It's insane.
So, in a minute, I'll pick September's cover. It's instinct. You heard of that? Impulse. Those lima beans hanging between your legs, those are balls! Maybe you forgot what they look like. And then Peter Stormare unzips his pants, and we see his actual dick and balls. And it's like hanging down like a fucking elephant's trunk, like a sad noodle. It's like... I was kind of... Because I had forgotten about this, and I remember you said, like, I can't wait to see a dude's dork next week. And I forgot about this, and I don't know how I forgot about this.
I didn't say I can't wait to see a dude's dork.
Well, I think you were being sarcastic, obviously. Like, Matt was drooling. He was like... but, like... yeah.
You're like, we don't...
Dick week!
But I was like... When this happened, I was like... And, like, somebody in the ADR was like, hello.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, dude.
So that was an ad-lib by Peter Stormare. He just decided to do that.
Are you
and
serious?
No one knew, like, that was coming.
Wow.
And it's like...
Holy shit, dude. That's ridiculous.
Like, the stories they told about Peter Stormare in this movie, like, he was going insane. He would do something crazy on every take. And, like, they were just dying laughing, like, the whole time. Like, they said one time he came out on a pogo stick in one scene and, like, playing guitar. Like, he was just out of his mind. But it works in this movie.
His character is also racist.
He's the worst human ever.
When he's picking out these people, he's saying this and that about, like, the ethnicities of the models. And it's just like, ugh. And he's very sexist. So then, like... Peter Stormare's like wife, who's like I guess friends with the main character. He's getting like a blank mask made on his face at like the party at I guess his boss's house is like they're having like some party or something. And then he finds out his girlfriend and boss are like having an affair. Which I actually thought
having a hand party.
Yeah, at the beginning I thought that like it was going to be his best friend that was like having the affair with his girlfriend, because that's so cliche. Like, oh, the best friend is having an affair with... but his best friend is doing something else to him. He's screwing him out of money. You're nobody. You're nothing. You saw me jerking a guy off and you did nothing.
Great line.
And then he has a fantasy of Axe killing his wife.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. So essentially he's been like screwed over... earlier in the movie, he keeps asking his best friend, like, dude, what the hell? I thought I was going to have more payoff, because I guess he gets, like, he's letting his friend, like, do his stocks and bonds and all his finances and stuff, and it's, like, comes out later that he is screwing him over or whatever, and it's, like, it was, like, a thing between him and his, like, girlfriend, where they would, like, steal money from him, so he'd work off his ass, so it's, like, he's been screwed by his best friend, his girlfriend, and his boss.
He's the ultimate cuck.
Yeah, and he wakes up and his face is the mask, and that's when he's kind of, like you said, he trying to transforms because, like, the things that he like envisions doing, he starts doing in real life. So like he finds like the cleaner stealing from him, and he like
beats her to death.
Yeah, he's like, oh well, then if you're not stealing from me, then there's not going to be anything in this bag, and he like kills her with a bag of treasures, and she gets like destroyed, and she's like essentially it's like that episode of The Sopranos where they like hit that waiter with the brick, and he like has a seizure, and they fucking like blow his head off.
Yeah, that was pretty disturbing.
That was
actually
horrifying. I think.
And that was a cool moment in the movie because
like that was my favorite part of The Sopranos. That's my favorite.
It was dark, but he's been having these fantasies, and then in this moment you realize, wait, it wasn't a fantasy. He actually did it.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, cool. This is happening.
Yeah, and he actually like he kind of gets to like act on. Yeah, so we've got jazzy noir music. Trying to follow her with his wife, or he's trying to follow like his wife, I guess, and he's got with his white face mask on, and he hides it by wearing sunglasses. I was like, what?
Not since Raphael wore a trench coat and Turtles.
Not only that, but like, why would he even have to wear a fucking like sunglasses? Like, because I mean, maybe like people would be freaked out by the eyes, but obviously he's not trying to hide his identity because nobody fucking knows what his like that he had a white face mask on.
Yeah.
So.
To spoil Romero's take, he said in his mind, like, the face was all in his mind.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
But he tried to leave it open to, like, interpretation. Which I appreciate that.
Yeah, I can
that's
definitely
one way to
appreciate
interpret
that sometimes. Sometimes it's kind of just like, you can tell they leave it up for interpretation in movies because they couldn't actually think of it.
Right,
and you're
exactly.
like, fuck off. That might have been what we were thinking when we first saw this. Like, maybe like, oh, this is bullshit. I do like...
Sometimes it can be manipulative.
Right, exactly, yeah. I actually do kind of like that idea of, like, it was all in his mind, because at the end, when he finally gets revenge on everybody, it, like, disappears.
Yeah, and that's a disturbing moment, because you're like, oh, wait a minute, what's happening?
Yeah, and then kind of in the Avengers post-credits, or not post-credit sequence, but the sequence where he's, like, turns around and it's back, it's like, he's gone back into, like, killer mode.
Yeah.
Which honestly, like, now that I think of it like that, this movie is awesome. It's like genius.
The more we talk about it, I'm liking it more, dude.
So it's a straight up porno. You get to see like top nudity, and like Peter Stormare is like using his noodle for something. He showed it earlier, and he's like having sex with the dude's girlfriend, and then like. He gets hung, or she gets hung, or whatever, outside the window, and it's like she's like hanging above, and he's like, Peter Stormare gives a great performance of being like really scared and horrified because he's also like, I think he liked her, so he was like, shit, I didn't do, like,
yeah. But also it's hilarious because when the cops show up, he's just like still running around in his underwear.
Yeah, the underwear he's wearing is like
it's
almost like lingerie.
It's like mesh.
Like, what?
But George Romero was cracking up. He's like, only Peter Stormare he was loving running around in his underwear on the streets of Toronto.
Yeah. Speaking of being in your underwear, in Halloween 3, Tom Atkins comes in to this movie.
The man, the legend, Tom Atkins.
Stop it! Turn it off! Turn it off! You gotta turn it off! You gotta turn it off!
And when I think about Bruiser, I say turn it on.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's in this movie, Tom Atkins.
Always love to see him.
As a detective. Great. Yeah, he's really good in this. There's a part where, like, they're like, look, I found this evidence, and he's like, then it flies out the window, and he's like, that was good, see if you can mess up any more of the crime scene. Peter Stormare, what do you think, Columbo? I'm standing here in my underwear in the middle of the street. It was like, okay, shout out to Columbo. Good stuff. I wonder if that was in the script or Peter Stormare said that.
I think he did a ton of ad-libbing on this bad boy.
Well, either it was George Romero or it was Peter Stormare,
yeah.
So props to both of them. Detectives think the husband did it. He's about to kill himself. This is one of a couple times when he puts a gun to his fucking head and he's going to blow his fucking head off. Then they think someone else possibly did it, and they like leave, and they're like, okay, well, let's go see these other people. They might have something to do with it. And they leave, and he changes his mind on killing himself. I was like, okay. And then there's a part where he's like painting his face or something. It's like this is when this gets into real like psycho territory where he's just like dressing up as his mother kind of thing.
Right.
Like this guy.
It kind of reminded me of Taxi Driver. Like
yes,
he's becoming more and more of a psycho and like embracing the darkness.
Right. Unhinged. And then he finds out that like we said earlier, his friend is like has been embezzling his funds. And he's like 30-something grand over 2 years. I was like, good lord, how did the guy not fucking notice that 30 grand was fucking missing?
Did you notice there's a nice touch because this friend character is like the ultimate yuppie, like scumbag.
He's like, he looks like a rat. He's like, yeah.
But there's no better way to like show smugness in a character than by a guy eating nuts, like out of the palm of his hand, like jiggling nuts. I love that.
He was jiggling lima beans. Cojones.
If you ever see someone walking around with nuts, like popping them in their mouth, that's a smug douche.
Or it's a good movie.
It
is.
What I
mean.
And he got his comeuppance.
He's like, want those nuts. Friend calls him a prick when he's been ripping his friend off. He's like, you prick. He like shoots him, and I was like, what? So he kills his friend, and his friend's just like, he's been fucking him over all this time. It's just like, he's been lying to him and stuff. Like when they play tennis, like the main guy is, I think, better than him, but he always is like lying about it. And he's like, oh, it's out. Sorry, I won. And I'm like, he's got like a really nice car, like compensating probably for like, something. And he's got like frosted tips and shit. Like, oh my god, dude, this fucking is not good. But then like he just treats him like shit, but acts like, he like gaslights him. He's like, oh, you're thinking you're too, you're thinking that things are wrong and shit. And you think that, you're gonna have a heart attack. And he's like, thanks, man. It's like, good lord. Lets the guy that knows who he is live with his supermodel girlfriend. So like, there's a part in this movie where like the guy, one of the only people in the office that are actually like he's friends with, like this guy that has like a goatee kind of, like he actually like is able to get with this supermodel, and it's like actually kind of like heartwarming because it's like, holy shit, like this guy's a nice guy. He's not like really super attractive, but he was able to like get with her. I think she like just liked him for who he was and stuff. And like he goes to like kill him possibly because he knows who he is. And he's when he's listening to him, he's like, he didn't sell him out to the cops, and he's like, he would never say anything and stuff like that because he actually likes the guy and he was nice to him. So he's just like, come on, like leave town. He's like, you don't have to leave town with me. I'm just gonna leave. And she's like, I can't believe you're making me leave. And he's like, I'm not. And she's like, fine. Like essentially she really likes him, and she's like, it's just funny.
That was a cool touch.
And then we've got carnival party time and 1 hour, 15 minutes, 15 seconds. Do you know what I'm about to say here? Fucking Howie Scream shows up randomly.
I love it.
When Tom Atkins is walking to the party, like through this like carnival, like hellscape.
What do you think was happening? Like, why was someone screaming like that at that moment?
The only thing I can think of is it was some sort of like Halloween sound effect thing, but it was like I like to think that it was somebody that was literally being fucking killed or something, or like a demon got him.
Love the Howie.
Yeah.
Bonus points for the Howie.
So we've got the Misfits are performing here, and I guess they performed a couple songs in this movie as like payment for George Romero because he like shot their like video or something at one point. So it was kind of a
it was cool,
thing. It was pretty legit. Did he say anything about them?
Nothing but so like George Romero, the commentary was basically him praising everyone else, like because he's just the nicest dude.
That's cool. I mean, that's kind of like when we were watching. Anytime I watch any commentary with like John Carpenter, essentially like they tell funny stories, but they like he name drops like, oh, that guy was hilarious, that guy was nice, and it's like never anybody talking shit. Yeah, so.
But he loved the Misfits. He like appreciated them doing this for the movie.
Mila, so so the main guy's in like he's in like a costume. He's wearing like his face mask or whatever, and he's got like a hat on, a cape and everything.
He's dressed like Ernest.
Yeah, and he's like walking in, and he's like, hey Milo, how's it hanging? And then randomly, for no reason, Peter Stormare is like, he's like shocked by this. So he's like, what the fuck was that? And I'm like, what? Somebody saying hi to you, like scared the shit out of you? I thought that was kind of weird. I was like, it was funny. So kid riding another person just saying, die, die. Then they have a random Bowser 64 laugh.
Yeah.
Guy. Like, I was like, what? So, yeah, man.
I would have hated this party. Like, this was out of control, dude.
Yeah. I mean, especially now. Back then, I would have hated it, like, when this movie came out, but now I would have just been like, fuck this.
You got Howie screams and Bowser laughs all around the place.
There's just too many people, and it's like, fuck off, dude. I do remember, I think at one point when around this time when this came out, we went to like some party in the basement of like in Columbus maybe, or maybe it was around there, and like there were just so many people in this basement, like fucking, you know, a college party, and I'm like, dude, this is shit. I just want to go play Mario. So then
it could be the title of your autobiography.
Yeah, fuck this shit. I just want to go play Mario. So Milo gets fucking reamed with a laser.
Yeah, I did not expect a dude to get blown away by a laser. Yeah, a freaking laser beam.
This laser was like interesting to say the least. I don't know. I'm assuming like lasers like this might exist in like the professional world, like for like medical reasons, but like who's gonna have it was like a laser.
It was so convoluted. Yeah. Like the purpose of this laser was to decapitate a fake dummy, so everyone would like cheer. It was like
but it like makes no sense because it's like, why would you have something so like like the army should be interested in this laser because like he like shoots Peter Stormare in the dick. And then he's like shoots him in the head, and it instantly like drills and kills him. It like fucking hits him in the head and like fucking essentially like, I don't know what's it called, like fucking
insta kill.
Yeah, it was like debrains him or whatever the fuck it's called, where you like
lobotomized.
Yeah, lobotomizes him, and he's like, oh, and I was like, but it's like, yeah, like we were saying, this laser is so.
How could you have something that dangerous in a public place?
It's not something that would be sold to the general public. Like, this is something that the army might be working on, not the public sector. Like, what? But then, like we talked about earlier, he, like, after he kills them, he, like, finds out, like, his face is back to normal. And, like, that's when the cops are like, hey, you're under arrest. And then, like, all these random people are like, I was the killer. And I was like, what? That part was kind of weird. I didn't really understand what the fuck that was all about, because one person starts it and then everybody starts doing it, so I'm like, I guess maybe all these people were like just really fucked up or something, and
they're huge fans of murder.
Yeah, they were all like maybe they were all just really like high, so they were just kind of going along with whatever the one person said. So I don't know. So at the end we've got the he's in a new place, and he's kind of got a new identity, and his hair is blonde, and I'm like, he's a mailroom dude.
He's dressed as like a stoner.
Yeah, and he's giving out like all kinds of mail and shit. And
all kinds of mail.
Yeah, all kinds of mail, baby. And then we've got this dude going ape shit on his employees, and then he's just like, you fucking piece of shit, where are you going? You better turn your ass around. And like, he's like, coming, sir. And he like turns around, and it like, he has the mask back on, but then like the cap of all of this as it like zooms into his eye, and it starts playing a random ska version of Take On Me, and I'm like, this is the least appropriate thing I've ever seen at the end of the film. Like, at first I was like stunned, but like the more I think about it, I'm like cracking up, because it's like probably the best part of the movie.
I agree,
because it's so stupid.
I can't argue that it was not appropriate at all.
Right,
but it was hilarious.
Throughout the whole movie, they play this so serious and so like very moody and atmospheric, and like this is like an art film kind of thing. And then at the end of the fucking movie, it's like zooms into his eye, and it's like da 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 da, and the credits roll on a black screen, and it's just like sold and over. I'm like, huh?
Take me on.
And then after they play the song, it fades into like the moody Bruiser theme of the movie, and it's like, oh my god! But
I loved it.
It was funny, yeah.
And I love that song. It was a cool version by a band called Holsten's Kinder.
Yeah, it was some German band. I
yeah.
But I generally think this kind of stuff is pretty. I don't know. It can either lean on it being stupid, or it can be like, I don't know. Usually, I'm like, this is fucking stupid.
You take the end credits music very seriously.
I do.
I know that.
End credits and intro are like can make or break a movie for me. But this was hilarious because I was just like, well, this is probably the most entertaining thing in this entire movie.
It was just fun.
Yeah.
Like, to a movie which was like not the funnest watch.
Yeah, it was kind of like bland. My last note says, what the fuck? So that kind of, I guess, what's the word? Encapsulates the whole fucking film.
Yeah.
So, I guess let's circle back to the whole reason for this. Back when we watched this in 2000, how many years ago is that now?
23?
Yeah, 23 years ago. I think I can safely say I think we both fucking hated this film when it first came out.
Yeah, I remember being bored by it.
Bored and just, you know, I thought the movie was like very disappointing for it being a George Romero film. I was not expecting. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this.
Yeah.
So I guess now it's time to reevaluate and say like what do we think about it now? Now that, you know, we've seen it again after all these years later.
I definitely liked it a whole lot more.
Yeah.
The more I think about it and like we've talked about it, I think it's a cool movie.
Yeah.
There's some ideas behind it. Like George Romero is an interesting person because like he's the most affable, like nice guy you'd ever meet, and everyone loves him. But he like his movies are very angry. He has like dark ideas.
I think he's like a lot of people where he's like disillusioned by like the process of political stuff and how things are like should be going the way they are going.
For sure. Like he rages against society and like capitalism
in his movies, but he's like in IRL he was like a super nice person. So
like there's an image in this movie of credit cards in a pool of blood.
Yeah.
Which like that's an interesting idea, and it kind of sums up like George Romero's thoughts on like this is just a bunch of bullshit.
Like the movie.
Also, like the house he's living in is like the gaudiest, like chintziest house you'd ever imagine. Like there's some thought behind this movie, which is like you could say that about all George Romero's movies.
Right.
Like, he's an ideas man.
Yeah.
So this movie's got a lot behind it. Peter Stormare is amazing in it. It's good.
Tom Atkins is in it. He's good in it, but since he's not like the lead, I think they give him like more screen time, which is good. But for his role, unless they kind of made his character really out of control, he's essentially just playing like a pretty generic detective that's just out to like catch the killer kind of thing. But I mean,
what are your overall thoughts?
I agree. I mean, I'm like you. I like it more than I liked it when I first saw it. It probably helps knowing what I was kind of getting into as well. It's kind of like, this reminds me of like when we saw Serpent in the Rainbow back in the day, and we were expecting a straight up like zombie film, and it wasn't that at all. And we were like, what the fuck is this? I almost wonder if going back and watching that would be like this as well, because I've heard like a lot of people say that movie's really good. I feel like I agree with you, like, on all that stuff, that I think that, like, George Romero had so much to say in this film. Like, he said quite a lot, and it's definitely one of those things where, it's definitely not, like, what he's known for. Obviously, like, George Romero is known for being, like, the dude that, like, essentially, like, created, like, what a lot of zombies are based on. And, like, doing other things, like, you know, obviously, like, he did this movie and Martin and, like, you know, a bunch of other films, but like, I think it's nice that he was able to like do this film on his own terms, and not only that, but he was happy with it. I think the cons of this are really that, like, for what it is, it's like it does have, like you said, some good ideas and stuff, but it's kind of just in general comes off as generic to a degree. And I think that's mainly just the way it looks, and some of the performances are just kind of very like textbook, and I don't think that's really anybody's fault, but like maybe like how it was written and stuff, or maybe how it was acted. I don't really know, you know. But like you said, like there are definitely like standout performances and stuff in this film. I think it kind of sucks whenever you have a film where like it has great ideas and stuff, and there are some great performances, but like your main actor and like the best friend and the girlfriend are all kind of just like they're kind of like they didn't really blow me away. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Where it's like you look at like a movie like Dawn of the Dead or Day of the Dead and Night of the Living Dead, and every character is very interesting for the most part. So
yeah, I'm not gonna say this is like a masterpiece by any means. It's probably on the lower end if I was to rank all of Romero's movies, but
it's not the shit that I thought. What's it say? Internal temperature high. Okay, sorry.
We're back.
Yeah.
And better than ever.
Got a knack for making things better. Okay, so like you were saying, what were you saying?
I would say this movie is worth seeing if you're a George Romero fan.
Yeah, I think if you're a George Romero fan, you probably either have already seen this movie, like you were saying, or you're probably going to see it.
Yeah. Or if you want to see a crazy performance from Peter Stormare. I'd say those are the two reasons to watch this movie.
Yeah, I don't know if I would ever... Not that I would say ever, but I don't think I would just generally say you should see this film. But only because
it's a deep cut
that do it better.
Yeah. Including Martin by George Romero.
Right, which sucks because George Romero is great, so I'm not like shitting on him. I'm just saying, like, just in general, it kind of sucks.
I think it's a cool little movie.
Yeah.
I'm glad we watched it again. Just made me appreciate George Romero even more than I already did.
Yeah.
So,
nice, man.
Yeah, it was cool.
Hell.
And I'm glad you didn't hate it either.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't sure going into this how I would feel about it, because I do remember... I mean, we both were on the same page when it first came out. And I think that might have fed into we were both shitting on it and feeding into each other like, dude, this is fucking horrible. What is this dog shit? So, yeah.
And a dude gets blown away by a laser beam in this movie.
Sadly, he doesn't like blow up. He just gets like his dick tagged and then his brain scrambled. But it's legit regardless. What would you like have to, or what would you rate this, I guess?
I'm going 7.95.
Yeah, I think that's
surprising to me.
Yeah, I guess that is kind of like your go-to. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because some parts I would say like I'll probably go like a 6.95 because 7.95 is like I see that as your like gold standard, but for me it's a little bit less than that.
Okay.
Like even though I really like it, I just and the only time I'd probably rewatch this film is with the commentary. So
yeah, I didn't love it by
much
any means.
love to George Romero, but you know, this ain't my top film to be watching by you, my friend. But you know, I'm glad that you made it and you were able to make it and you were able to have a long life of making movies you wanted to make and sometimes not getting exactly what you wanted, but who the fuck does? You know. But you have a long-lasting legacy, and I'm sure we'll talk about more of your films on the podcast in the future. So are you ready to talk?
What's next?
What next week?
Mike week.
So next week, we've got another thing where they're both the exact same like name. So it's based on the 1933 novel The Thin Man from 1934.
Dude.
And then The Weird Watches, 1957 to 59, the TV show The Thin Man.
Nice.
So we've got a husband and wife duo that are like detectives. It's got like comedy in it and stuff like that, and I've been wanting to watch this for a long time, and I'm excited to watch it. I've heard nothing but good stuff about it. So
same here. It's been on my list for years and years, and I've never pulled the trigger.
Yeah, I'm glad that we do this podcast because I feel like I watch a lot of films that I normally would just be like, even though I have the time, I'm like, I'll just watch something I've seen before.
I'll watch Mario Brothers again.
Like the new one. I'm like, wee! Jack Black. Speaking of which, did you see he like has a song in the movie? I was like, dude, what the fuck? First, you had my attention.
Cool, nice picks.
Yeah, and I can't wait. Oh man, well thanks for coming by, guys, once again. That was a great episode.
Yeah.
So
until next time.
See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh wait,
Mike,
you hear that?
Matt, get your asses in here. I got some work to do for you boys.
Coming, sir.
We just watched Bruiser. Well, I don't know what I'm to say. I'll say it anyway. This episode releases on Tuesday. We'll see you next week for the Flynn Man Week. 9.95. 9.95.